Hi everybody, Ruechel here with the PCS Journal with another guest for you with some great information, so stay with us if you would. Joan Reubens is joining us right now, bullying prevention specialist. Joan, good to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You know, we've had so many conversations about bullying, and I even think as a child, you know, I was bullied, but it seems like in the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a greater emphasis on bullying taking place. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it too is because we have our social media, which kind of keeps things going.
Yeah.
So, you know, when kids go home, it's not just going home isolated to their home and maybe call them up on the old telephones that we used to have, but now they're reaching out, socially, via their text or their social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever that might be. So it may keep something going that started at the school, and they're keeping it going at home too.
Yeah, and then it's like saying, how do you control social media? You don't, do you? Can you?
No, well, the parents can. I mean, parents really should be watching their kids anyway, limiting their time on there, finding out what's going on, having that conversation with them, and letting them know, that if anything happens or they're uncomfortable with something, that they really need to report to the parent and let them know what's going on.
So how do you know the difference? And I've talked to a lot of bullying prevention specialists in different areas. How do you know as a parent, and you can define the difference between bullying and what I would call the normal kind of herd mentality, feeling people out and kind of where they are? Especially I know among boys, there's a lot of that jostling that goes around. So how do you know when it's gone too far and when it's actually bullying?
Well, bullying is when you have that imbalance of power between people, between kids, where you have one kid who's not quite on the same level of what's happening. So they're feeling uncomfortable, they're unsure how to defend themselves. The other kid may be joking around, but they take it too far, and the other kid is feeling really uncomfortable. Maybe other kids are standing around laughing, joining in with it. But when we look at what a conflict is, it's that balance of power between kids. I'm not happy with what's going on, and I'm not happy with what's going on. But neither one really back down, so we have that balance of power. That's the biggest thing that we look for when we're looking at what the key components of bullying is. It's that balance of power.
Are quiet kids more likely to be bullied than the boisterous kids, or does that matter?
Well, our quiet kids, our passive kids, are the ones that can definitely be lost. These are kids that will comply very well with the adults, which is wonderful for us, but sometimes they're not making friends so much, and they can be quietly bullied and they don't say anything to anybody. So it can be going on, and then finally when it escalates to a point where they finally tell their parent or a trusted adult, then it all comes out. So then we have a child who's feeling isolated, bullied, and has that imbalance of power, feels like they're not in with the other kids.
Yeah, yet for that child that's being bullied, for them to say something is a lot of times they just won't.
Many times kids won't say anything. The older they get, the less they say, because they look at it like I'm a snitch, I'm ratting, I'm tattling on somebody, whereas what we're teaching in Pinellas County is that absolutely we're not. It's not ratting and snitching, it's reporting. You're letting someone know, a trusted adult, that something is going on, whether it's to me, the victim, or if it's to another student in the school. And we're letting someone know that something wrong is happening here and we need an adult to step in.
Is any of it based on looks? And I'm thinking of Quentin Aaron, who was in The Blind Side, who is a huge person. Right now he's about 410 pounds, 6'8". But he says that when he was growing up, particularly 12, 13, and 14, because he was so tall and gangly and had glasses and looked kind of gooky, he got picked on a lot simply because of the way he looked and was perceived by the other students.
Right, well, and many times it is like, kids will kind of feel things out. Can I pick on this person? How far can I go? Will they let me do it? And I know that sounds kind of strange, but kids who bully are actually almost shopping for I hate to say victim, but a person that they can target. And someone like him.
But why do they do that? Why do bullies do what they do?
Because what they're trying to do is get power and control.
But we say power and control. Now we're being very analytical here, but no kids are thinking in their heads, no, I've got power and I got control. There's something, I don't want to say a deficiency, but something in that person that bullies is going on in their life, isn't it, that causes them to be that way?
It absolutely could be. It could be something happening at home, in their neighborhood, where they're feeling powerless, and then what they do is they come to school and they find somebody that they can, let me see, if I say these things to them, are they going to defend themselves? Are they going to fight back? A student who says, hey, stop, I don't like that, more than likely another kid is not going to keep coming back at them. It's the kids who passively, quietly, and just don't say anything, or they laugh it off and they kind of go off with it, that kids keep coming back and saying, well, can I still pick on you?
Yeah.
And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that's kind of what some kids are doing, is that they're looking to see, can I harm this person, but also, do I have an audience to laugh with me?
Yeah,
To
yeah.
help me keep this going.
So the techniques that you're talking about are these what I call tried and true? Have these techniques been tried in terms of when when you're bullied that you need to tell somebody? Because can't that backfire too?
Well, okay, yes, because many times, and I've had parents that will call me and say, listen, my child does not want anyone to know this is happening. She's afraid it'll get worse.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But my thing is that if we don't do something, I promise it's not going to get better. But there are ways that we can do it. And I tell parents, nobody has to know that your child reported anything. It's, believe me, many kids in the school have seen it and heard it and know about it.
Yeah.
And many of the reports I get are from kids who said, I see this kid at lunch, this is what they're saying, so what they're doing. So they start an investigation to find out what's going on.
So when this, and I pause and I get a little flummoxed about this because I'm thinking about my own situation when I was growing up. The old adage has been, and we've seen it portrayed in a lot of films, and even sometimes today, the kids go, well, don't take it. Stand up for it. You know, take a swing at him. If he takes a swing at you,
Right.
Quentin Aaron, again from The Blind Side, says, no, that's not. You don't meet violence with violence.
Right.
But when you have this stereotype of that's what you should do, if you're being bullied, though, still at some time, you have to stand up for yourself, don't you?
Well, absolutely. And what we teach too is what's going to be comfortable for a student. What would be comfortable for me if I felt somebody was, I don't want to say disrespecting me, which a lot of kids say, is that I would say, you know what, that's not okay. I don't like that. It has to be what's most comfortable for the student, and that's when I do parent workshops. That's what I tell them. Practice with your child. Give them scenarios. What if someone says you can't sit here? How will you handle it? You can say, hey, thank you for letting me know. I didn't want to sit here anyway, and walk away. You know, just give them some sort of a tool, but what's most comfortable for them. We don't want to tell kids necessarily, stand up to them, look them in the eye, and tell them, don't do that to me, because you might get punched in the face.
Right, yeah.
You know, but it has to be what's most comfortable. My thing is, if someone's being picked on, my first thing would be, yeah, defend yourself and say, huh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, at least
laugh
defend
it off,
yourself
or
with your words, maybe not with
your
actions.
words, right. And I know that many parents will say, well, I told my child to hit him. Well, you know, but school is your job. We don't do that as adults on our job. We don't just throw fists because someone's picking on us or, trying us, or we don't do that. And that's what we're teaching the kids here. When you're on your job in school, there's ways to go about handling it, and throwing fists is not something that we do.
Yeah, in my particular case, it did take, one fist, because I was being picked on because in my hometown, my parents were divorced. And in my hometown of 500 people, they were the only ones that knew that was divorced. And so they picked on me and said horrible things about my mom and dad. And so, I am not a violent person, and it was a very strange way that I swung and hit. However, having said that, it was resolved instantly and never happened again. And
Right.
and everybody knew that this guy was a bully to begin with.
Right.
Does this happen more with boys or girls?
Actually, it happens more with boys. And I know that when I do workshops and I ask them, who do they think bullies more, boys or girls? They're, the girls. No. I mean, girls do it too.
Yeah.
But research still shows that boys have a higher rate of bullying than girls do.
No, we had this situation in Polk County. We had that horrible situation, again, because I want to get back to social media, where this poor girl committed suicide because on social media they just said horrible things about her. And I think we've had the same thing that has happened in Pinellas County too.
Sure.
What should a parent do so that the child doesn't think, hey, you're snooping on me? Because I'm thinking in particular when we get to junior high or high school, you know how when they get to be that age, kids get really weird, like, you're looking over my shoulder, how dare you look at
Right.
stuff? So how do you do that?
Well, you have to look at what your where they are. You have to look, and you have to keep that line of communication open. And I think one of the biggest things too is, as a parent, be careful what you want to shut down about. Now, I have kids. I've had kids in the past. The parents will call, and the kids keep coming at them. And I'm like, why haven't you taken them off? Take your child off until this settles down. Figure out what's going on.
No, when you take your child off, what do you mean? Oh,
Off
the
of social
media.
media.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah, because many times, well, no, my child has a right to be on there. And they do. But they're not going to stop looking. I mean, if I were a kid in today, I would be up at 2 in the morning. What are they saying? What are they doing? I mean, and I'm not saying that that's okay, but that's a kid.
Yeah.
A kid's going to do that. They want to find out what's going on. But I think it's up to the parents to put those parameters, those guidelines, and letting them know that if something does happen, you need to come off for a while, just for a while, until we can figure out what's happening.
Now, what you said was very, very true about social media repeating it, because I was talking to Darryl Roussan, who lives in a part of Pinellas County where they have a lot of gang violence per se. And he said that's what even what they said was, well, the problem is in the old days, it used to be if you had a fight, if you talked about it on the street, you either worked it out or you did something later. But that the social media keeps repeating it, and because there's no consequences, the words that are used we get stronger and stronger and stronger until it's almost to the point of no return.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a part of the problem of what we have is just that keeping it going, that string of social media, and many kids knowing about it, not just one or two, but hundreds. It could be hundreds of kids.
So let's talk about the mechanics of this in terms of what kids can expect with bullying. Do you have bullying classes? Do you have bullying workshops? How does that work?
Workshops is what I do at the district level. I do, I'll do student workshops as well, but I also will do, a lot of staff training, letting them know what it is, what to do if they see it happening, how to intervene, because sometimes we see behaviors in the hall and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But my thing is just stop it. Hey, guys, need to get to class. Just letting the kids know that we're there, we see something that may be going on. Could be bullying, may not be bullying, but again, we're an adult, we see it, and we're trying to move it along.
Do you have signage, or because I'm thinking, it's one thing to teach the staff about it, and I know how important it is because of the role that staff plays, but in terms of saying to the kids, I mean, it can't be just a sign on the board. There's no curriculum piece that's in it?
Well, what it is that we have programming, some type of programming in all schools, all of our schools, where they have to specifically teach about bullying prevention.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yes, and that's many what we have. Our biggest program that we use in Pinellas County is the Olveus Bullying Prevention Program. And we have many of our schools that actually do it. It's a research evidence-based program, and it has shown that it is effective in reducing bullying incidences as well as antisocial behaviors. So we have, and schools can use really whatever type of program, as long as it's evidence-based, research-based. We have it now written into our policy where we have a list of what the programs are that schools can use. But they have to use it intentionally with their kids to teach what it is, what it's not, what do you do. That type of thing is what we're having our schools
And if you
do.
had a piece of advice you'd give to parents, because we're about ready to wrap this up, what piece of advice would you give to parents about bullying?
I think the biggest thing is when your child comes home from school, the big thing that is ask about their day, but not just about the academics. How is it socially today? Who did you eat lunch with? Who are your friends? What's happening? And kind of get those things. And if they do report that something is happening, we don't always have to run to the word bullying because maybe it's just a disagreement
that's true,
or a conflict, but still it needs to be addressed. So, as a parent, be a detective, get those, like little details from your student, find out exactly what it is and who did they talk to at the school. Because many times the kids do and they don't tell the parent, and then the parent ends up calling me and the school's not doing anything. And then of course I call and then they were doing something. So sometimes it's miscommunication between the parent and the school.
Just talk to your kids, be open to them, that's all I would say.
That's it, absolutely.
Sit down and have supper together, which is another big deal, I say, from my particular standpoint. Talk to them, have that conversation. Joan, great stuff. I'm glad the school is really taking a proactive approach to this. And again, parents, get involved with your kids, know what they're doing, know who their friends are, and if they say that something's going on, listen, be the parent that listens. Joan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll continue with our program right after this.